Okay, good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, April 21st public meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
So be it.
Second by Tony Laurie. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chief, could we have a moment of silence for Mr. Costanza? He was an
I put it on my report. We're going to do
We're going to close with George Glover and
George Glover Jr. and Rocco Costanza.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so I know Ms. Laurie seconded the opening of the session, so I guess all in favor.
Aye.
Okay. Sorry about that. We'll start with our friend Jamie.
Sure. Okay, today we're looking at the financials through March 31st. They present a net budget surplus of approximately $520,000. There are certain accounts I'm monitoring for future budget transfers. A few accounts that are trending over budget would be overtime, fuel and electric. Those are two of them, and then we have a few accounts that already are over budget, terminal leave being one of them. We had more retirements in the first quarter of the year than we anticipated. Fire training, a lot of hot new hires, and our also our tanks refills testing and rep. I don't know what that stands for.
Repairs.
So, repairs. There you go. So I don't have any budget transfers to recommend tonight. I know we're going to be making some changes as we go through the year. There's the assistant chief potentially if we're going to do that. So I'll just continue to monitor these accounts, and probably midway through the year, maybe in June, I'll have a list of budget transfers recommended to the board. But so we are looking at where we are and stand on all those accounts. Just a number of purchases that we initiated in 2021 that we're hoping to complete this year. We recently just got the invoice for the bailout system, right? That we received. Still a few items, the radios, water rescue equipment, and the turnout gear that were budget encumbrances for this year. As far as with Chester Heights, there is an invoice in the warrants tonight. It's like the fifth invoice from Vinco for about $125,000. As we know, the board had done a permissive referendum for up to $765,000 to expend our capital reserve for this project. So after this invoice, we will have approximately $470,000 remaining on that permissive referendum. So again, something we're just continuing to track, and so we can determine at what point we either need another one or we decide to use general funds. We've now paid about half of the balance with a remaining $270,000. Although if we talk about Chester Heights tonight, I know there's a few change orders and whatnot that may impact that in the future. As far as our year-end audit, we had a visit. Our auditors were on site in the beginning of this month. They are finalizing our AUD filing. I have received a draft today for review, and we expect that we'll have draft financial statements next week. So once we have that, I'll circulate it to the board for review. So everything's on track there. Our AUD will be filed by April 30th. Tax collection, likely by the next meeting. We should receive our full levy of tax from the town in the amount of $18,049,409.70. And one item on the agenda for this evening is that we were contacted by JP Morgan. That's where we have all of our bank accounts. There is a project that the FDIC is going through. It's making all financial institutions identify a contact person at each of their clients as the custodian of funds. So the FDIC provides us insurance up to $250,000, the same as on anybody's bank account. And then the rest of our money is collateralized to make sure everything is secure. But this is just specifically in the extremely unlikely event that one of these banks ever went under and the FDIC had to pay out the insurance. They are looking for the correct contact person. It is a title and not the name of a specific person. So that's something that's on the agenda. So the board needs to decide who they want to name as the custodian and then who they want to sign the required documentation. Our legal counsel recommended that that not be the same person, and then also whether you want it via DocuSign or encrypted email. And then that's it. You have 3 warrants and a credit card bill for review, and that's all I have for today.
Right, so let's, as far as the custodian, we mentioned, so not mention you by name, but by title only?
Correct.
So
So you would be designating
the treasurer,
the treasurer. Sure.
and I would sign, I would be the one to sign the document.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna do that motion now. So motion to designate the treasurer as the custodian of the Eastchester Fire District's funds for purposes of the FDIC deposit insurance, official custodian form for government accounts required to be completed by the FDIC, and to authorize, I'm going to say, the chairman, Paul Carlo, to sign said document. Did I get him?
I'll second that.
Paul, second that. You can.
I'll call the roll.
Yeah.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Manalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Okay. If they want to do a DocuSign or whatever, however they want to do it.
Yeah. Do you prefer? I think DocuSign.
I don't care. That's fine.
Okay.
Everything's DocuSign nowadays. It's fine.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. And as far as the payment of bills, I'm going to make a motion to pay the bills and vouchers as presented. The board has been supplied with 3 sets of bills and 1 credit card bill for board approval. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting, except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. The treasurer has requested the board approve the following. Warrant 1, dated 3/23/2022 for $237,819 spot 83. Warrant number 2, dated 4/21/2022, $471,410 spot 86. Warrant 3, dated 4/21/2022, for $156,000, 271 spot 64. And lastly, a credit card bill dated 4/18/2022 for $3,758 spot 69, for a total of $868,697 spot 63. I'll make a motion to pay those bills.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Manalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. The Chief's report. Chief?
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, everybody. Monthly activity report for March 2020. Total of 335 alarms. 11 were fire-related, 180 EMS or rescue. Mutual aid was given 4 times, once each to Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Yonkers, and Scarsdale. And we received mutual aid 4 times, twice from Mount Vernon, once from New Rochelle, and once from Greenville. Vehicle maintenance continues through the use of outside vendors. Tim Dalton's maintenance reports were mailed to the board on April 14th, or emailed to the board on April 14th. Fire prevention and code enforcement continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections. Their reports were emailed to the board on April 7th. Currently, 1 member is out on long-term absent and 1 member is out on paid administrative leave. Lieutenant DiRienzo, who's assigned to the Fire Academy, reports that the 7 candidates in the Fire Academy are doing well. They are tentatively scheduled to graduate from the Academy on Friday, July 15th. Lieutenant Joseph Costanza is scheduled to attend First Line Supervisor Training Program down at the FDNY from April 25th until May 20th. I request the board authorize me to purchase 7 Dell Optiplex 5490 all-in-one computers with headsets for a total price of $10,625.30, as per the Dell Technology quote dated April 15th, which is based upon the pricing in the Dell Technologies New York State umbrella contract PM 20820. An email with this information was sent to the board on March 30th. With this quote, and the quote was updated actually at a lower price because some of these items went on sale for an end of quarter sale. These computers are going to be used in the firehouses. We're implementing digital check reports, so they'll be able to do their check reports on the computers. They're also to do the EPCRs. The members are currently sometimes doing them on iPads, and it's a little difficult to type with the touch screen. So with the full keyboard, they'll be able to do the EPCRs, which are patient care reports that are required for the EMT calls. So it'll make the guys easier, and we'll be bringing technology into the firehouse. So we're ordering 7. There's going to be 1 in each firehouse for the members, and each of the lieutenants will have a computer for them to use as well. So they can use it for training or whatever they need to work on if they have to do reports. So I have a couple things I'm asking the board to do, so I'll just let the board, if they're inclined to do that, make their motions at the end of my report. The VHF radio base station, which is our dispatch frequency, was replaced on March 7th. That's our main transmitter that sends out the signal to all the firehouses, and that radio was about 18 or 20 years old and would no longer be serviced by Motorola. They would just make their best effort if it went out. So we've upgraded that. And in the next few weeks, they've received the new radios at our vendor, ESS. The new radios will be for the firehouses. There's 2 in each firehouse. There's a VHF and a UHF radio. The VHF radios send the tones through the speakers throughout the firehouse so the members can hear the calls. And the UHF radio, they can transmit back to the county to let them know they're responding or that they've received the alarm. So those radios have come in, and they should be installed in the firehouses in the next few weeks. So most of our radios were 18 to 20 years old, outdated as far as being able to service them if something went wrong with them. So it's good that we're replacing them. PERMA is our workers' comp carrier. Their annual conference is on May 26th and 27th. PERMA will cover the hotel cost for the night of the 26th. I would like to attend the conference. I am the district safety coordinator, so I'm asking the district to pay for the hotel for on Wednesday, May 25th, because the conference starts at 8 a.m. and it's up by Lake George, so I'd have to leave at like 3:30 in the morning to get up there. So I'm not a morning person. I would appreciate being able to go up there the afternoon before and get a good night's sleep and be able to participate in the 2 full days of the conference. Our credit card policy says you can't use a credit card for travel, but I'm asking the board to make an exception as they have in the past. I've been going to it 2 or 3 times since I was chief. Unfortunately, the last 2 years because of COVID, they didn't do it in person. They did it virtually. So I'm asking for permission once again to use the department credit card to charge $209 for the night of May 25th to attend the member conference from the board.
You going by Uber, Chad?
What's that?
You going by Uber?
No, I take the Chiefs car.
I'm only teasing.
And it's a nice place.
So, yeah, no, it is nice up there, but I mean, quite frankly, it's like I thought I'd be up there and get to like go out on a boat or something. It's like, it's 2 full days of conference, it goes from 8 in the morning until like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then in the evening, they have like member things going on as well. So there's not a lot of time for freelancing. It's like you're up there for the conference and you spend most of your time in the conference. I had emailed a proposal for a lease of a second Konica copier. Its model is a BizHub C258. It was emailed to the board on April 12th. I'm asking the board to replace a copier that broke down about 2 years ago and hasn't been replaced yet. The members have been using the captain's copier, which is an inkjet copier, and we're probably spending more than $95 a month in ink because we have to make our check reports and our run reports on the captain's copier. It's not cost effective. So I'm asking the board to approve me to sign a lease. I would recommend a 5-year lease, which would be $95 a month. And so I would ask the board for that authorization.
Want to do that right now?
No, again, I have several things that I'm asking for authorization to do,
Okay.
so we can do them at the end. The next thing on my list is the old boat and trailer are surplus. They're no longer insured, so we can't even take them on the road. They're just sitting in the back parking lot. I would like the board's permission to auction them off with the company Auctions International that we've used in the past to auction off surplus equipment and fire apparatus. I don't see a need to keep that boat around anymore. We just got our new boat in. We're going to be starting training on it next week. We're going to be taking it out. Hopefully the weather holds and it stays in the 50s and 60s and doesn't get cold again. So I don't see a need to keep that old boat and trailer around. We can clear up some space. My next item is, should it not be too late, would the board wish to participate in the Tuckahoe High School Senior Internship Program or the Eastchester High School WISE program? We have participated in the past, but not the last 2 years due to COVID. And then my question would be, would the board require any sort of waiver for participants or for their parents to sign? In the past, we put yellow vests on them. They actually go on calls with the guys. EMS calls, fire calls, they are not allowed to go inside the building. They stay outside the building in the safe area. They're not trained to go into fires or anything like that, but they just observe what it is to be a fireman. The guys explain to them, what the job is, how the life is in the firehouse. So it's, people that may be interested in becoming a fireman in the future. I received an email from Tuckahoe High School about a month ago, and I called back the guidance counselor twice already just to ask him questions, and he hasn't gotten back to me. So, I really needed to know if the board is interested in participating, and if they are, would we want our attorneys to draw up any sort of waiver for the participants or their parents to sign if they're underage. So that's something the board should consider. And finally, unfortunately, actually, I'll save that. I do want to mention, we did have 2 fires in the month of March. We had a fire, Group 4 with Captain DiBattista had a fire on Morningside Circle. It was a fire inside an attached garage. The resident realized that it was about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, so it was discovered early, and the guys put it out quickly. And I just want to say that Group 4 did a great job there, and all the members that were working that day, keeping the fire small and not spreading to the house. And we had a pretty serious fire on Garth Road. It was the top floor of a multiple dwelling. It was a fully involved kitchen, smoke and water damage throughout the apartment. Police and firemen made rescues of the 2 residents that were in there and other residents that were up on the 6th floor. It was 194 Garth Road. And it happened on the day Eastchester, I think it was March 13th, when Eastchester was having their parade. So we were supposed to be going in the parade. The fire truck had the Irish flag on the back, and they had business got in the way of the parade. So all our members were up at the fire with New Rochelle members and the Greenville members. So thank you again to the mutual aid companies, and just want to say that Eastchester members did an excellent job at that fire. And while that fire was going on, one of the pipes that feeds our standpipes, our hose connections in the stairwells, broke, and it flooded out one of the apartments for one of the residents in the adjacent building. The pipes, it's a U-shaped building, so there's multiple entrances. So an apartment that was 3 buildings over had serious flood damage, and the basements of the apartment buildings had serious flood damage due to a broken pipe. Everybody did a good job, and just want to say excellent work by the members. And then finally, unfortunately, we had 2 members, 1 retired member and 1 volunteer member passed away recently. So I respectfully request that the board close tonight's meeting with a moment of silence for the passing of the 2 members of the department. George Glover Jr. passed away on March 25th. 2022. Retired Captain George Glover Jr. was appointed to the career staff on March 1st, 1986, and he was issued badge number 115. He was the son of retired Fire Chief George Glover. George Glover Jr. Retired as a fire captain on September 29, 2006, after more than 20 years with the district. So thank you for his service, and our condolences and prayers are to his family. Also, volunteer firefighter Rocco Costanza passed away on April 20th, yesterday. Volunteer firefighter Costanza joined the Rescue Hook and Ladder Company number 1, the Tuckahoe Ladder Company, on April 8, 1965, and was issued badge number 1445. He was still considered active, as he never took out his exempt papers, and he was the grandfather of our Lieutenant Joseph Costanza, and the father of the Tuckahoe Police Chief John Costanza. So again, our condolences to their families, and I ask the board to close the meeting with a moment of silence in memory of those 2 former members.
Chief, and he was also appointed an honorary chief about 3 years ago.
For more than 50 years,
Yes.
Yeah. When the volunteers have more than 50 years of service, they get appointed as honorary chiefs. So.
All right, thanks, Chief. Quick question. Is this the amount, the low amount, the new amount, the lower amount?
The 10,000 is the new amount. So that's the sale price. So the original price was $11,863,
Right. Okay.
but they're having an end of quarter sale, so it actually got lowered.
All right, so we'll take care of the chief's requests now. So I'm going to read a few motions off to the board. So the first one, to purchase computers for the firehouses. The board authorizes Chief Tween to purchase 7 Dell Optiplex 5490s all-in-one computers with headsets for a total price of $10,625 spot 30. As per the Dell Technologies quote dated 4/15/2022, which is based upon the pricing in the Dell Technologies New York State umbrella contract number P as in Paul, M as in Mary 20820. I'll make a motion.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranallo?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Next, welcome. Next is to allow Chief to use a district-issued credit card to payment of one night of mirth and merriment at the PERMA conference in Sagamore. The board authorizes Chief Tween to utilize the district-issued credit card to pay $209 for one night lodging on May 25th, 2022 at the PERMA Annual Member Conference, which is held at the Sagamore Hotel in Bolton Landing. I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
On the motion, if it goes further, I have no problem with it extending the amount if the chief needs more time.
He wants to say a week
There
or
were
something.
nicer rooms, but I picked the lowest room. You know, they had lakeside rooms.
I'm
but
just saying if
I
you-
took
if
the
you-
lowest
if you-
possible room.
If you have to go
That
any more
should
time,
be the price. That's what it said in the.
if you have to
stuff.
go more time, I have no problem with it.
Mini vacation.
Call the roll.
Yeah.
Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranallo?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Have fun, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, on the copier, to allow the chief to enter into a copier lease agreement, the board authorizes Chief Tween to enter into a 60-month, 5-year lease agreement with Office Dynamics of Hawthorne, New York, at a monthly cost of $95 for an Office Dynamics showroom model BizHub C258 digital color copier, printer, fax scanner. There's a monthly allowance for 1,700 black and white copies and 300 color copies. Overages for black and white are 1 cent or $10 per 1,000 copies, and overages for color are 0.0725 cents or $7.25 per 100 color copies. And you did say, Chief, that by this whole leasing system, they cover everything as far as...
As far as we've had with the other one, we haven't had any additional charges. When we run out of the laser powder, they come and replace it, or they email it to us and we install it. So I don't believe there's been any additional costs on the current lease that we have in the front office.
No, we haven't
one.
paid anything additional for that.
Yeah, so it's just a $133 a month for the one in the front office.
It's all been included.
Great, and it's going to be the same for this, you think?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you don't go over your allotment,
Yeah.
which, I mean,
Yeah,
we
you
have
just
it
pay
in
the
front office, so-
overages. So, and it is a floor model, so that's why it's cheaper than the one we have.
That's fine.
So, it was lightly used, they assured me, so we, it's under a lease, so if it doesn't work, they come and fix it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranallo?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you. And lastly, the board authorizes Chief Tween to enter into an agreement with Auctions International to auction off the surplus boat and trailer. I'll make that motion.
Second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Lori?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranallo?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you.
Just the only thing that, the outstanding question is the senior internship
Yeah, we
program.
have actually,
Okay, you want to discuss
well,
it?
we can discuss it now if you'd like. It's on the agenda, but, I mean, anybody have thoughts about the kids?
I have no problem with them being here. I would defer for the attorney to see if they recommend any precautions be taken as far as authorizing them to be here. But it's a very good program. I was still on the job when they had it, the WISE program here, and there's currently at least one of the people who did the WISE program several years ago is on the list to be hired. And he interviewed very well the last time we did the interviews, so I wouldn't have any problem interviewing him again for the position.
I believe Lieutenant Greenbaum came from the Tuckahoe Senior Internship Program.
Right,
So he was
right.
on that program, and,
And this starts in May, right?
It starts in May, so it may be too late. Like I said, I've been trying to get in touch with the counselor from Tuckahoe. I'll just stop by the school tomorrow and, go find them and track them down. So to see if it's not too late, people may have already picked what they're going to do and might not be able to change it, but, we'll offer it to them and say, as long as when we talk to our attorney, if there's, any kind of liability waiver they would have to sign. As I said, there's never been one in the past, but knowing our attorney, she may want something, so we can just run it by her, and if she doesn't have a problem with it, then I'll get in touch with Eastchester and Tuckahoe High Schools.
Right, so I'm fine moving forward with this as well, just based on whether or not, whether we require a waiver or not, it remains to be seen, but I'm okay with that, both programs going on. It'll be both Tuckahoe and Eastchester, both schools?
Well, Eastchester sent an email out probably in January. The one from Tuckahoe only came about a month ago.
Okay.
So it may be too late for Eastchester, but it may not. I can get in touch with the counselor that runs the one at Eastchester High School and touch base with her.
All right.
So.
Just for information purposes, Commissioner Laurie asked about Bronxville School. Do they have a WISE program?
Not that I'm aware.
Okay.
I could reach out to the school to find out, but they've never contacted us about having anything up here.
Okay.
And the other issue with the Eastchester one was they sent their email in January, right when COVID was at its peak again, so I wasn't thinking that we were even going to be able to do it. But since the COVID numbers have gone down, that's why I'm open to entertaining to doing it again, although the numbers seem to be going up again. Hopefully it'll, be a short spike and go back down. Okay.
Captain
the
Glover and,
silences.
yep, no problem. Okay. Okay, Esong, the secretary report, please?
So the board was provided the first draft of the upcoming Eastchester website. So if there was any feedback or some additions that they wanted to add on, we do have a deadline tomorrow for the major design concepts. But so far, the chief and I, we spoke with the design team member and also for our project manager, and it seems like we have so far the foundations that are needed to have essentially a functional website for all the basics you would want from a fire district website. So we were able to submit all those, and of course if the board had feedback along the way as we submit the drafts, then please do let me know and I could contact the project manager with that. And then also I did ask the board for, and thank you again for approving for taking an inventory for policies and procedures that the district does have. This is just an attempt to see if there's anything that maybe we could upload on the website as well, with the board's approval, of course, and just to make sure that it's consistent and updated as the board would require should it be put up on the new website. I'm still working on that inventory project, but I'll have updates hopefully in the next week or so for the board to look at. And for social media, educational resources, the board was emailed 3 examples of flyers that we could put up on the educational or under fire prevention tab. So those are things that are going to be starting. I could create them as we go along, about 3 to 5 per month. And of course, if there's a certain theme or something that the board wants to have created, I could work on that as well. But I hope the board has been enjoying the for what I'm attempting to learn about fire service, as well as just what's out there to use for graphic design. Social media posts, we put up 10 social media posts in March. For foils, we received 9 foils and responded to them all. As record management officer, I put in 10 hours to go ahead and digitize and organize the files in the closet here at headquarters, and had submitted also, the deadline was in March, but I submitted the LGR MIF inactive records grant application March 21st for a total request of $39,038, and we should be expecting the results hopefully next month. So I'll give the board an update if we were approved or not for funding. And for grant writing, I was able to meet with the Department of Homeland Security to discuss the DR 4480 grant. That's something that we could submit a preliminary draft to them by June 1st, I think was the deadline. So I'll have an update for the board on that grant. And then for the meeting with Congressman Bowman's office, I did send an email just for this meeting. All 3 letters and the application was submitted for the community project funding to replace the roof for the request of $400,000 at Station 3. And this, again, is a project through Congressman Bowman's office. I just want to thank Mayor Mary Marvin, Mayor Omira Adino, and also Senator Shelley Meyer's office for the thank you letters, letters of support. So they came through and we were able to submit them today.
Did we get one from Supervisor Calavita?
Not yet, but I can follow up if you want me to.
Yeah, if you can, if you want.
Sure.
If you need it, it means it's too late, or?
No, it's due tomorrow. We were required to have 3 letters, so we did.
Okay, then we have 3. Then it's okay.
No problem. But yes, I just want to say thank you for the review and consideration of that request for funding for Station 3. In terms of, so I did receive my notary card yesterday. I guess a lot happened in all since I returned on from vacation. So I'm now commissioned by New York State. So if anyone needs a notary, I'm here. And then for the OML document that was posted in March, and the draft minutes and transcripts were prepared for the audit for Jamie's auditors, essentially for 2021. So that's what I have for my, and then yes, the election manual and the nomination petition. I just wanted the board approves to essentially allow that to be an election manual, an official election manual for Eastchester Fire District that'll provide guidance, essentially describe the roles and responsibilities of our fire district elections, and that'll be posted up on our website as well, if it's approved, of course. And then I also redid a nomination petition. If the board approves, that would require the same amount of signatures, but also for a notary signature at the end, verifying that this person was the one that went around asking for those signatures from residents.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Have you seen this at all?
I haven't seen that, no.
All right, so we're gonna shelve the. We have time, right, to do this next month in May?
There's fire district. I guess by October it'd be nice to know.
Nice. So we want to review this, and then we'll vote on this next month.
Sure.
As far as the resolution for the district election manual and nominating petition, okay. Personnel issues. We have personnel here. Is that?
There's no item on that.
No item yet.
Yeah,
So we're
just
good with
left the
that.
category
All right, cool. All right. Miscellaneous business. So we have an EFD procurement policy. I think we're going to discuss that, and it's just really we have a policy where we can spend up to $1,000, right? Without going to go out to competitive bidding.
No, so there's different values. I think it's for up to $1,000, you only need one verbal quote for purchasing equipment. So up to $2,000, you have to get, I think, 2 verbal quotes, and it's $2,001 up to $20,000. It's, I think, 3 written quotes or 2 written quotes, something like that. So we were just looking to up those numbers. They haven't been upped in at least 6 years. And with inflation, it's like every single thing is, we have to get like 3 written quotes, and it slows down trying to get stuff.
All right, so we're going to discuss this in executive session with our attorneys as far as revising the numbers and the limits and so forth, and then we can address this at the next meeting.
Yeah, well, I think Isang is going to propose a chart, right? Like with updated numbers, so we could just table it.
Get your thoughts on our suggested numbers in the executive session before I create the chart.
Fine, okay.
So just wanted to discuss that, of course.
Okay.
All right, great. And then we'll table that. Okay, fine. Next is the Bronxville Firehouse floor repair. So we're trying to, I know we got a lot of things going on right now with Chester Heights and so forth, but we still want to try and also not wait for that to be finished before we start looking at Bronxville's floor, which is also...
Well, we were notified by our inspectors that the floor is deteriorating rapidly and that we need to do something about it. They did temporary shoring in 2005, and they're wondering why we haven't repaired it yet. So they recommend that we come up with a plan to repair it, because in future inspections it may not pass. So
of course, right.
We want to start the process of getting a plan for that floor.
Right. So I have a motion here that we are going to approve the quote and to authorize Chief Tween or his designee to execute the quote for the Phase 1 work related to a structural evaluation of the apparatus floor at Bronxville Firehouse between Eastchester Fire District and Highland Associates. This proposal is for professional services and is not to exceed the value of $7,500. So they'll come in and they'll survey the land and see what we are up against.
Right, it's not coming up with a plan yet. That'll be Phase 2, which will probably be more expensive, to draw up plans and go out for bid documents and, competitive quotes. It's just for them to come in and say, this is what you need to do.
Right. So I'm fine with that, and I think the rest of the board will be as well. So I'm going to make a motion.
I'll second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner LaLaurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Randall?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Great. All right. That leaves us up to item E. Now, there's on the agenda, we have a VOA, VBA foil on the agenda. And there's always been talk of just getting some updated financials of the VOA and the VBA. I think for the couple of years that we don't have. I know this was Commissioner Keating's, I believe, request he's not here tonight, so, does anybody want to speak to this, or does he have any thoughts on what the next steps are? Do we want to?
Well, what is he looking for?
Well, I guess he's looking. Well, I guess we're all looking for the financials of the VOA and the VBA.
The VOA or the Benevolent Association? Which one you talking of?
I think it was the VBA, the
VBA.
Volunteer Benevolent Association.
Okay.
And it was, so I guess in the past they had foiled certain years, so he wanted to get the more current years. So if they had done 17, 18, and 19, I guess he's looking for 20 and 21 or whatever, to get the more current years, whatever they got the last time. Similar type documents. I think that was his goal.
So, would you like? Is that something we should just?
If we don't have to.
At the next meeting, I'll check with them and I'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine. That's great. Thank you. All right. Next was camera and security access systems. So there was some talk about upgrading the having cameras installed at the firehouses for security purposes. Maybe changing the access to the buildings, whether with a fob or a card. We received a couple of quotes. We're still deciding what the best way to go with this is. I don't think it's anything that's really urgent at this time. But if you want, let's say at the very least, maybe do it in phases where we update the locks.
Well, I'm meeting with a
the
third
firehouses?
company next week, so
Okay.
let's get that third quote and see where
Alright.
it comes in.
But do you have preferences to what we do? Do you want to do everything?
I'm open to whatever the board wants to do. I think the key fob idea is a little bit of overkill, but that's my personal opinion.
Okay.
I thought maybe if we change the locks, one of the concerns in a report that we had done 11 years ago was as people retire, we don't get the keys back, So there's probably, 50 or 100 people out there that still have keys to the firehouse that no longer work here. Either they retired or, left for other reasons. And so, the key that we have currently has probably been around for 30 years that I've been here and possibly longer. So the idea that I thought was maybe we could have all the lock cylinders changed to one of those do not duplicate keys. So it's like a controlled key. I know they have them in schools, like, you get the key and it says right on it, do not duplicate. So that way when somebody retires, we make them sign when they get hired, you must return your key upon retirement or end of employment, something like that. And that way we bring all the keys up to date, so only the current employees would have keys.
Chief, wouldn't it be better if we got the thing where you get the card, you swipe it, and there's no keys?
So you could do that, but it requires extensive wiring at prevailing wage. I think it's going to be, I don't want to mention what the quotes are currently, because that will give the next vendor that I'm meeting with next week an idea of what to charge. So just let him come and give us a proposal based upon what he thinks it's going to cost. But I'll just say it's very expensive. So I think by going with the locksmith, I think we could bring the cost down substantially.
Okay.
And if we still want to do cameras, because our firehouses have been robbed in the past, especially during construction, the North End Firehouse was robbed. We lost radios, we lost computers. So, if we had cameras, we might have been able to see who stole our equipment. So I don't mind cameras on the outside of the buildings. If something happens, we have a record of it. And, in this day and age, I think it's prudent to do that. But, the cameras are, I think, a little less expensive because we run the cables in-house as we did for the IP phones. We had to run all computer cables for the phones. So our maintenance worker, Tim Dalton, was able to run the cables, and so that would bring down the cost substantially. Those key fobs, they have to run a wire to every single door. And, you're getting prevailing wage electricians and, you have 5 firehouses, so it's probably about 18 to 20 doors, so I think that's what drove the cost up. So, I think for right now, let's see what the third quote comes in next week, and then we can determine at next month's meeting on what we think the best course of action is.
That's fine.
So.
Okay. And you'll also get quotes as far as the the cameras and let's say for key access, not just.
Well, we'll just ask them to modify their quotes to do just cameras, you know.
Okay, right.
And then we would hire just a regular
locksmith,
locksmith to
right.
come in and do the secure key, you know, the do not duplicate type key locks.
That's fine.
So that's what I would recommend. You know, I'm sure they don't have to come back out and look at the cameras. They already, you know, and especially if we're doing the cabling, they're just mounting the cameras and putting the recorder in. So.
Okay, that's great, Chief. Thank you. And lastly, here we have, we just talked last month of the railing, installing a railing outside in front where there's that raised cement portion between the driveway and the driveway to the office here into the main driveway.
A flagpole.
Yep, that flagpole. So it's become a bit of a process to even get a railing installed, and no one wants to do it apparently because it's such a small job. So I think we decided that the chief thought maybe just put some planters there on that top of that cement path, a cement wall, and of course, hopefully people will realize that it'll block them having to walk over the wall.
They'll have to walk around on the sidewalk.
Right, maybe and falling or getting hurt, or whatever. So
we got one quote. Timmy was having difficulty getting a second quote because it's got to be prevailing wage and all that kind of stuff. And one of the commissioners recommended that we, get a building permit. I spoke to the building department. He says you should get a permit. They don't charge us for permits because the town owns 4 of the 5 firehouses. This is one of the ones that the town owns, so they wouldn't charge us for a permit. But it'd just be another hurdle for the contractor. So I think if we just put a couple planters out there to block it, put little boxwood bushes or something, and it will probably spend like $300 or $400 and be done. The railing quote that we got was $1,500 installed. So again, that requires 2 quotes, and you got to do prevailing wage because it's a public building and all that kind of stuff. So
that's fine with me. So I'm okay with just doing the planters. If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jesus. So my guest. All right. That's.
Chief,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That place we were talking about, that's called Valley Forge Ironwork.
okay, yeah, I've heard of them.
So I just thought you might want to know.
Yeah, I'll have Timmy, ask them if they could give us a quote. But
Okay.
again, if they're not like
Yeah.
prevailing wage, whoever installs it, unless it's like a sole proprietor company,
Okay.
like a single guy, they have to be prevailing wage workers with certified payroll. Otherwise, we can't pay them. So.
Okay. And that's our report with our agenda for tonight. So I'm going to open up to local 916 comments.
Yeah, I just have 2 items. The lighting in the meeting room at Station 3.
Mhm.
I mean, when we meet there, it's probably a good thing we can't see our food. But we also train there and take written tests. And the problem is only the 8 people sitting under the 8 bulbs can see. Everybody else is in the dark. So just wanted something to be done with the lighting up there, so when we're taking tests and training, we could all actually see what we're doing.
I mean, do we want to just, as a separate project, just see what it would take to have an electrician come in and just maybe
Yeah, I
install
can
some more?
have Tim have, we have an electrician that we have, so we have 2 electricians. We have Nick's Electric for repairs, and
Right.
then we have another company, I forget, do you remember the name?
The Acorn?
Acorn
Yeah.
Electric does new work, so we've already gone out for competitive quotes, and those were the companies that won the bid, so
Right.
we could just bring in Acorn Electric to come in and, give us a quote.
I mean, I'm okay with calling Acorn and see what they're going to charge to do this. Let's just do it. I mean, I don't want to make a science out of this.
Yeah.
Lighting.
It's fine.
Or is it repairs to the existing lighting, and then we call Nick's Electric, because if we're replacing existing fixtures, and
Well, I haven't been up there in years. Well, how many lights are up there?
There's 8, but for whatever reason, they go straight down, so you're like in a spotlight.
I mean, is it
Spotlight, you don't see anything.
is it a matter of just changing the bulbs from spots to floods, or?
No, I think floods are there now, so it just shoots straight down.
Okay. But are they hi-hats or
well,
just
spots would shoot straight down. Flood should go out a little bit.
There's a pan around
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
so it just has a small opening to shine through.
Okay, so we'll have that looked at.
All right, and the other thing is, I don't know if you spoke about it already, about training at Concordia College. I don't know if you brought that up.
I don't have the waiver with me. I have to run, it's like a 4-page waiver that they want us to sign, so I have to run that by our legal and see if they're able to do it. If the board wants to allow me to sign off on that, as long as Cheryl's okay with it. So Concordia College has has been taken over by Iona College, and so they've actually moved in and they're using some of the buildings, but some of the buildings are vacant, especially some of the dormitories. So we want to use those for training, maybe stretching hoses or doing searches, things like that. But Iona has like a 4-page waiver that they want us to sign off on, and there's some things in there I think, we should just run by our legal counsel. But as long as I can get Cheryl to approve it, is it okay if I sign off on the waiver with Iona College to
It's okay with me.
do
Chief.
training at their campus?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Fine with me.
All right, thank you, that's it.
I know he's not on here, but I know we're going to talk about it probably is Chester Heights. So we have an update. I know that I've been speaking to our engineer. We're still waiting for his drawings for the waterproofing and that mitigation. They're back in there working, right? But we still need to get that. He said I just got an email from a few hours ago. He's going to get that hopefully to us soon. That could take another week or 2 weeks. Who knows? And we're trying hopefully having the people that are there now doing the current work be the ones to also do the work to do this waterproofing, so it doesn't have to go out to bid and waste more time. So hopefully, if Vinco can do the waterproofing, that's our goal.
Yeah, that would be
I think as long as it's
ideal.
under 10% of the
Right.
total cost of the project.
Yeah, that's what our attorney said, that it
Right,
would
so it's still-
qualify as a change order, so that's why we're just waiting. You need Joe's plan so that Vinco can
Give
give
a
a
more
final,
accurate,
Yes.
an accurate estimate. They were just at this point,
They just did a
giving us-
ballpark. Yeah.
Right, so we don't know that they're gonna do it yet, but that's our goal. And once I have more information, we'll just update the board and the public, and hopefully by the next meeting. That was all I had for Chester Heights as far as that. We have the sign put up. The chief had the sign
The
put
sign
up.
is up. I asked them to do whatever they had to do to the lighting. The lighting, Mike mentioned at the last meeting, Mike Parisi commented that the lights don't come on at night. When they had to remove the floor, they had to disconnect a lot of electrical work. So they're in the process of trying to get an electrician to come to get them to come back on at night. They could be on daylight sensors, so they only come on at night and turn off during the day. So I asked the contractor to get on that. So hopefully they'll have to take care of that.
Well, that's for the safety of the building and also for security of the
Yeah,
building.
absolutely.
We don't want anybody to damage the
Yeah,
building.
yeah. So I asked them to work on that.
For the public to address.
That's coming up right now. Yeah, so I'm
Okay.
going to say public.
I'm Mike Parisi from Chester Heights. Last month, Commissioner Roach said that he was going to invite the contractor to come. You can go back in the minutes and check. I might be wrong, but the contractor isn't here to explain how far the work is progressing and what problems they may find, but there's no contractor here.
Well, I think he was referring to to Joe.
Pardon?
I think referring to our engineer,
engineer.
or Joe.
The engineer.
So that's my fault. I never reached out to him to invite him, but I will make sure that he is at the next meeting.
He should be here to tell us how far he's going.
Yes.
And what the progress is and what problems that they're running into.
I will make sure he's at. I'll make sure he's in attendance at our next meeting, and we have it up to date.
And then also, I see that whoever put the sign up on the face of the building, I congratulate them because.
That was Tim, Tim Dalton, our maintenance.
I mean, I really congratulate them because in the event of something was to happen, and we all know, you can have a fence up, you can have a brick wall up, but if your child is hurt or your wife or there's a fire, you're going to run through that. And you're not going to say, what am I doing? You can get the sign up, the sign is up now, but at nighttime, the sign is not lit.
Maybe if we get those lights on.
So if you get the lights on,
Yeah,
call
yeah.
911, and
Yeah.
have them respond. I think, a lot of time has gone by. We should know the public should know what's going on there. And, no pun intended, but I don't know how people work, but I know when I do work at my house, I would do the outside, I would do the inside first and then do the outside. Over here, it seems like they did the outside first, now they're doing the inside. So, I mean, we're all laymen on the board here. Nobody's an engineer. Brian's the fire chief, but it's unfair for the fire chief, who has to run a fire department, to be involved as the clerk of the works. Hire somebody or have somebody come and give us, the public and the Board of Fire Commissioners, a report on what's going on. Anybody can put a nail on the board and say, this is what we're doing, but let us know what you're doing. I see there's a lot of work going on there, and some days there isn't work going on there.
Right.
The reason why I know, I live right across the street from the firehouse. Right, there has been contractors there, cement has been poured, but I think the general public in Chester Heights should know what's going on for security reasons, for fire safety reasons. And I commend you for what you're doing.
Well, believe me, we want it finished more than anybody, and,
Well, I think we want it too, you know, I think, I also think the firefighters want it. I think they want to go back to their house.
No, they do. I mean-
They had it at schoolhouse. They want to go back to a regular firehouse.
no, I'm sure they're tired of being there, but, it's,
You know, I think, you know, they don't like running out of that building at night, you know, and I think they want to be in a firehouse, you know. And then if something was to happen, you know, the public doesn't really know. When I say the public, the general public from the outside. Let's see an engine parked there. Is that engine there for a display? You know, there's no sign saying this is at Station 4, Station 4 of the Eastchester Fire.
you mean in the parking lot of the schoolhouse?
It's parking lot of the schoolhouse.
Yeah.
There's no sign on that fence. It's just an engine there that says Engine 4. There should be a sign that said this is Engine 4, the home of Engine 4, the Eastchester Fire Department. You know, and there should be a sign on the door, in the emergency, ring bell, you know, something. There's
Yeah.
nothing there that says that. And now as we're coming into the summertime, kids are playing in the park, people are riding their bicycles, you know, things happen. So.
Okay, well,
I mean, it's not our property, it's owned by the town of Eastchester, and it's the schoolhouse is right there. We don't want people, because the gate is open for the fire truck to get in and out. Normally that gate is locked so
Right.
that people like don't go to the marble schoolhouse. You know, it's a 180-year-old building or whatever it is.
Right.
We don't want to draw attention to that property because we don't want people like coming in there and doing it. If there's an emergency, you know, that's one thing, but it's, you know, a lot of times the fire truck's not there, so they're going to come there and knock on the door, and they're going to be
But if there was
up at
a phone-
headquarters or
there was a phone
something.
there, Brian, you know, on the outside, pick up the phone, a call box, pick it up, you know, fire department, what's the problem? You know, you can have it on the outside, you don't have to even have it on the property, and a sign on the outside that just says this is the home of Engine 4, call box is here with a red light like they have on college campuses for security purposes, or a blue light. Well, college campuses have a blue light. Fire department should have a red light or a blue light. Pick up the box and say, bingo, you know, we got a problem.
So, you know, we were hoping, but they've hit roadblocks, you know, they've hit water and they've hit rocks on the outside where they're excavating.
I understand
So-
that, but you're the chief of the department. There's no, and forgive me, you're a great guy, you run a great department. There's no one here telling the public what's going on, except you.
Yeah,
The contractors should have somebody here saying, this is what we ran into, this is the problems we are expecting. That's it. All right.
Estimated timeline would be nice.
Well, we don't have that until we get the report for the, so the stage that the construction is at on the interior is, they've removed the old floor. They removed all the temporary supports and all the permanent supports that were there for the old floor. They've put in footings for the new columns.
I've seen that.
So they've installed the new columns and they poured the concrete for the footings. And now they have all the skeleton in for the floor. But they don't want to pour the floor until the basement is decided upon, because they need heavy equipment to cut into the concrete if they're going to do a French drain or some kind of water management system in the basement. They don't want to close it up and then everything has to be dug by hand. You know, right now they could take a little bobcat and drop it right into the basement. And they could take a diamond saw to cut the floor and drop it right in the basement with their excavator.
Right.
If they go ahead with the floor and move it forward with that, then the whole basement has to be dug out by hand, and that's going to double the time and the cost of the project.
You know, Brian, also, New York City has a subway system. The system floods constantly.
Right.
We don't know about, but they have pumps that work 24/7.
Sure.
So, you know, if the contractor's here, that could be a question that could be asked to him.
Uh-huh.
He can give it back to the public, you know, it's feasible, it's not feasible, it's gonna cost you a ton of money. These are the questions that I'm looking for
Right,
as a
right.
taxpayer. Okay? I mean, I just paid my taxes. And then that taxes, what's the fire department?
There you
You
go.
know, the great fire department of Eastchester.
Yeah.
We got paid for it, you know? But as a taxpayer, I want to know what's going on.
Right.
And
well, like I say, I'll have someone here next meeting,
thank you.
and we'll just,
You might have to call in, like if we had a conference phone. you
Yeah,
might
well,
bring
if
a
he's got- if
conference
he's got
phone
a call
in, but
about-
yeah,
I'll
you
give
could-
him-
You know, the
He
questions
would
could
probably be
asked
open to
him,
that, sure.
He could just
Yeah,
say, you know,
yeah.
this is what's going on, and
You can ask for an update,
Yeah.
but hopefully we'll have more
I think it would
information
be-
by
I
then.
think it would be a good idea, and I think it would be, you know, to make the public know what's going on.
Mhm.
And,
yep, agreed.
I should remind the public the next meeting is May 12th at Town Hall.
Yep, okay, it's May 12th. Okay. Was that it, Mike? Anything else? Concerns?
No, I have nothing
Okay.
else. So then no. You did a good job. I mean, I praise you guys for what you do, There's no foil to be written for that, okay? You do a job and you have to do what you got to do. But, as just being the people that live in that area,
Sure.
Want that firehouse back for security purposes, for firefighting purposes. And, it's a great place. I mean, it's a safe place. And children that play in the park, children that come home on the bus, there's always a safe haven to go. If there was a problem, you go to the firehouse. You tell your children, there's a problem, go to the firehouse.
Right.
Bang on the door. The firemen will open the door. If you need police or medical assistance, they're there to help you. So,
All the ball players that get hit in the head with a ball or something, they come in for an ice pack.
the EMS calls that come down there,
They need a Band-Aid.
Right. And plus the general public that wants to use the bathroom.
And we want to be back in there. We're not stalling. We're trying to get it to move forward as fast as possible.
I know you're not stalling,
So,
Brian. I
yeah.
know the fire district and the board and you guys aren't
Yeah,
stalling,
yeah.
but certain people. But if we know what's going on, would make the Chester Heights Civic Association, people in the community feel that this is what our firehouse is turning into, and this is how it's going to run.
Yeah.
So,
You know what? And we could even post an update. I'll speak to Joe. We maybe post an update on the website.
Regarding if he,
Well, but maybe
is
if,
Tony?
if we get an update from him, and instead of waiting until May 12th,
Oh, I see.
I'll get an update from Joe and say, we need something
Sure.
to put out there for the public.
Sure, just let me know.
Yeah. Okay, I'll get that.
Yeah, once the engineer comes out with his plan, then Vinco can come out with a new construction schedule. Because the old construction schedule was just blown out once we hit that water. It just stopped work for, a month and a half or 2 months. So the contractor will give us an updated construction schedule once they know what the plan is for the water, maintenance or the water plan for the basement.
Water table and
Yeah.
how it is down there, right.
Well, it's the way the plan is, the recommendation from the hydraulic engineer, the water engineer was, you have water up to about 6 inches below the slab. That's fine, just maintain it at that level. If it rains and it comes up to within 3 inches of the slab, then the pumps are gonna take that overflow.
Right.
But that water's been at that level for 80 years since they built the firehouse in 1930. So you don't have to pump it down below where it's always been, just maintain it at that level. And if it comes above that level due to a heavy storm, then you pump it out to the catch basins and the dry wells and, all that kind of stuff out in the front lawn or underneath the ramp.
You did at one time have a
So-
generator there, and the firefighters that were on duty, when you got a heavy rainstorm, the generator would kick in, the water would be pumped out of the basement.
Right. Well, we have full generators on all the firehouses. It's in the
Right.
back of the firehouse now. It used to have to be, it was a hand generator that they had to manually start and plug in. So now we have automatic generators for that firehouse. So that would maintain the pumps. But but that's the plan, to just maintain wherever that water level is naturally, not to try to lower, Mother Nature, just maintain it at that level. If it comes up above that level, then the pumps will handle that. So once we get that design from the engineer, then the construction company will give us a price cost and the board will vote on it and hopefully we'll, get the project back on track.
Yeah. Get that firehouse finished maybe by September.
That's
Well,
that's when
I know,
our
I
lease is
know,
up,
I know.
August 31st.
I know that speaking for us, I'm part of the Historical Society board, and we have a,
And also give it some consideration about putting a call box outside where the engine is now, and a sign stating this is Fire Station 4. In the event of an emergency, pick up the call box.
is that,
We can do that. We have call boxes on each of the firehouse, and I actually have the one that we removed from Chester Heights, and we have a phone line down there. It's the extra phone line that came with the TV and the internet, so it was like an extra $10 a month. So yeah, we could do that. We can put one of those yellow call boxes that was on the front of the firehouse. We can mount that.
Right.
As long as the Historical Society doesn't mind it.
Well, even if they don't want it on their property, on their firehouse, you could probably maybe get a line and place it on the outside, just even with the great sign that you put up on Station 4 now.
We'll order another one.
Yeah, not a piece of plywood, but a sign.
So,
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
you're welcome. Is that it for the public? Commissioner comments?
Yeah, I got a couple. First, I want to extend my condolences to the Glover family and the Costanza family. Many years ago, I used to go hunting with Rocco Costanza, with my brothers and my father, and I worked with his father for many years too when I was a young teenager, and he was a part of my family, and I will truly miss him, and I'm sure the volunteers will miss him also. And on another comment, I want to talk about respect. I remember many years ago, Commissioner Pinto sat on this board, and he says, respect doesn't cost nothing but time and cooperation. And the other day I was coming home from work, and the fire department has a monument on Route 22 in the corner of John Albany's place. And there's a tap dancing school next to it. And it seems that whenever some girls are not tap dancing and other girls are tap dancing, the ones that aren't tap dancing are staying outside with their parents. Well, I was coming home Wednesday from work, and I maintained that area. You have no idea how many young girls between, I would say, between the ages of 9 and 11 were all on top of that monument. I got out of my car and I spoke to the parents, and I told them that's a tribute to fallen firemen. And in the month of February, we paid $900 to a contractor to refurbish that, point it, set the flagstones, and a lot of joints were opened up and water was getting into it. And these children were playing all on top of it, sitting on top of it. And I spoke to the parents, and the comment was from them, what are you worrying about? There's nobody buried there. So why can't they play on it? Why don't we go tell the lady who's in charge of the dancing school? I said, well, are all these her children? She said, no, these are my children. That lady, that's her children. So why do I have to tell the lady that's operating the dancing school? You are the parents. Get your children off of there. During the summer, they had a camp out there. They chalked that thing up that you couldn't even see anything on that monument. I had to call the police, and the DPW of Eastchester had to come with a power machine and wash it off. That's what a mess it was. I put plastic chain around it so no one would go in and out of it. The other day, that was all torn down. I mean, this is a monument and a tribute to our fallen firemen. I asked one lady if she would mind if I went in the cemetery where her parents are buried and sit on the grave. She said, don't be so ridiculous. All I'm asking for the public to have a little respect for that monument. I notified the police to ask them to step up their patrols there to keep everybody off that monument. That's a tribute to them. And any other monument, whether it be a monument for politicians, for veterans, police, it's not to be played on. It aggravated me so bad the other day that when I left, I felt like I was the culprit. So I just ask the public, have a little respect for any monument, whether it be firemen, police, politician. That's a tribute to those men. I don't see anybody walking on the 9/11 monument or the Vietnam monument or the Korean monument. Have a little respect. That's all I ask. But please, if I raised my voice, it sounded like I raised my voice to them. I did not. That's what they were complaining about, that I raised my voice to them. Have a little respect. That thing is there for how many years, Paul? We worked on that to get that piece of property. 1983. And we took many years to get it. Then we had to go out and ask for donations to help build that. So that's all I'm asking. Stay off of that or keep your children off it. There's benches there. You could sit there, have your lunch there, throw your trash out. We put a trash can there too. But not on top of the monument, please. That's all I ask. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Paul?
Nothing.
I was going to say that I took a ride with Mr. Randall today up to Westchester, the academy, to see the firefighters training, and it was my first time up there, and it's quite a sight to see these guys, to see what they do, the different departments that are there. Yonkers was there, Mount Vernon was there. Actually, Mount Vernon had a truck there. They don't have anybody there training, but they had a truck there, so they even came up to help with the training process, even though none of their people are in training. Arlington, I think Greenville, a few places are up there. It's just amazing. We saw our control headquarters, 60 control, and what goes on in there. I was only there for about 2 hours, but to see what goes on behind the scenes, to see what goes on in the training in the field and what they do, very impressive. And we have got a great group of guys coming on board in July when they graduate, and it's 7 great kids. And I think that this department really, my goal is to make sure in my year and a half that I have left or whatever, I want this department to be the best possible department that we can possibly put together in the entire county. And that's and I think we're on our way to doing that. And we've got a great bunch of guys. I'm just very happy to see that's coming and it's going the way it's going. So
I also was up there last week with the chief and Commissioner Ranalone, and what Commissioner Carlo just told you, it is amazing. Some of our own retirees are working up there with the men, and believe me, I definitely have to say it's a military operation, and they're doing a great job. They're getting great training, and God bless those guys. I mean, they're young. I know that it's in them. I'm sure at nighttime their muscles must hurt, but
they go through
they go through a rigorous training.
Yeah, an entire day of training.
They have a lot of respect up there for the visitors who do visit you.
They study hard at night to pass their tests and exams, and I was told that they're averaging, I think, over 90 on their tests and so forth.
The Eastchester probationary firefighters.
But these
long days too. They're doing 4 10-hour days, so they start at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, it's a long day. Yeah,
5 o'clock.
and I was very impressed to see them in action. It's just amazing. Really, it's something to be seen. Yeah. So.
Commissioner Allen, you mentioned something earlier today about backfilling. Did you want to?
Oh,
bring
yes.
that up?
Last week when we were there, and even today, occasionally Eastchester will be asked to send a piece of apparatus up there, either an engine or a ladder, to assist in the training program. And in the past, we've sent apparatus up there, manned with 2 firefighters or an officer and a firefighter.
Which are on duty that day.
Right, which are on duty, and which leaves Eastchester short. So the board has granted the chief permission to, whenever we do send apparatus out for training purposes or any other reason, that he has the authority to backfill the number of people that he sent out. If he sends out 2 firefighters, call in 2 firefighters on overtime to man either the spare apparatus or the in-service apparatus, whichever rig is remaining in town. And at his discretion, he could either send the overtime firefighters to wherever, or the guys who are regularly scheduled to be on duty that day to that assignment. So this way we don't leave Eastchester short anybody.
I'll make a motion to that.
I'll second that.
Okay. I'll call the roll. Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Great. So I think that's for our comments. So we're gonna go to exec session. So I'm gonna read that motion, then we'll adjourn, and then we'll have a few moments of silence for retired Fire Captain Glover and for volunteer fireman Rocco Costanza. All right, so the motion to go into exec session to discuss medical, financial credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no problem. Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
Aye. So we'll adjourn our meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
And we'll say have a.
You will have to, Cheryl said we have to come out after executive session to close the meeting after executive
Oh,
session.
okay. I'm sorry.
So
So.
we're just going to adjourn to executive
Yeah,
session.
thank you, Chief. We'll adjourn to exec session, and then we'll come out and close the meeting. But I don't know if you guys want to hang out for another hour or so before we come back. Okay, welcome back. We just make a motion. We came out of executive session. We make a motion to enter public session. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Can we get a second on that?
I second the chief.
Okay.
Now we're going to adjourn. So I make a motion to adjourn public session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We're good?
Very good. 9:07 PM.
Okay,
All right.
thanks, guys. Have a good night.